Waiting for Superman is a 2010 documentary directed by Davis Guggenheim. The film criticizes the American public education system by following several students as they strive to be accepted into a charter school. Over the coming slides, information will be provided about the American education system. You should have some understanding about the Australian education as you're currently experiencing it. At the end, your task will be to synthesize this information and answer the following question. What systemic differences occur between the American and Australian education systems? Which system provides richer opportunities for its students? A reminder, synthesizing asks you to think about how has my understanding changed after reading this. So it helps us understand what you read by combining new and old information to gain a deeper understanding. The American education system. So education in the United States is provided by public, private, and home schools. State governments set overall educational standards, often mandate standardized tests for K-12 public school systems, and supervise, usually through a board of regents, state colleges and universities. Funding comes from the state, local, and federal government. Private schools are generally free to determine their own curriculum and staffing policies, with voluntary accreditation available through independent regional accreditation authorities, although some state regulation can apply. By state law, education is compulsory over an age range starting between 5 and 8 and ending somewhere between ages 16 and 18, depending on the state. In most schools, compulsory education is divided into 3 levels: elementary, middle or junior high school, and then high school. State schools, also known as public schools outside England and Wales, are generally primary or secondary schools mandated for or offered to all children without charge, funded in whole or in part by taxation. These schools are generally inclusive or non-selective in admitting all students within the geographical area that they serve. Charter schools are K-12 institutions funded with taxpayer money but managed privately. Popular charters may have too many applicants and thus rely on a random method of choosing students, such as a lottery. Now that you've heard this information about the American education system, you need to synthesize your understanding. So how has your understanding changed after reading this? Remembering that synthesizing helps you to get a deeper understanding by combining new and old ideas. The question that you need to respond to is, what systemic differences occur between the American and Australian education systems? Which system provides richer opportunities for its students? You need to construct a response to this question, ensuring that you use evidence to support your opinions. Geoffrey Canada narrates the documentary, and throughout, different aspects of the American public education system are examined. Things such as the ease in which a public school teacher achieves tenure, the inability to fire a teacher who is tenured, and how the system attempts to reprimand poorly performing teachers are shown to affect the educational environment. Teaching standards are called into question as there is often conflicting bureaucracy between teaching expectations at the school, state, or federal level. Tenure in the context of the American education system relates to a policy that restricts the ability to fire teachers, requiring a just cause rationale for firing. Basically, it protects teachers regardless of their inability to educate effectively. The film also examines teacher unions. Statistical comparisons are made between the different types of primary or secondary educational institutions available, state school, private schools, and charter schools. There are also comparisons made between schools in affluent neighbourhoods versus schools in poorer ones. Since charter schools do not operate within the same restrictions as public institutions, they are depicted as having a more experimental approach to educating students. Since many charter schools are not large enough to accept all of their applicants, the selection of students is done by lottery. The film shows several families as they attempt to gain access to prominent charter schools for their children. Key people that are involved in the film Waiting for Superman include Geoffrey Canada. He is an American educator who wants to change education across the nation. He describes his journey as an educator and his surprise when he realizes upon entering adulthood that Superman is a fictional character and that no one is ever powerful enough to save them all. He's our narrator for the film. Additionally, Rhee was a former chancellor of the Washington, D.C. public schools, the district with some of the worst performing students at the time. She attempts to take on the union agreements that teachers are bound to, but suffers a backlash from the unions and the teachers themselves. She quotes that the willingness to turn a blind eye to the injustices in schools is partly the reason why nothing will change systemically. Now that you've established a baseline of knowledge regarding Waiting for Supermen, ensure that you complete the top section of your evidence table and answer the question, what is the topic, subject, or issue of the documentary? Ensure that you provide enough information so that this can be transferred into your first body paragraph. See you in class.